The knocking in apartment 307. In the fall of 2018, 22-year-old Emily Carter thought she had finally escaped her past. She had grown up in a small town in Ohio where everyone knew everyone else's business. After graduating from college, she packed her belongings into her aging Honda Civic and drove to Chicago with exactly $1,462 in her bank account and dreams far bigger than her budget. Chicago felt alive. The streets buzzed with traffic at all hours. The smell of coffee drifted from corner cafes before sunrise. Neon signs painted the sidewalks with colors that made the city seem awake, even when the rest of the world slept. Emily loved it, but Chicago was expensive. After 2 weeks of searching, she still hadn't found an apartment she could afford. Then she saw the listing. Apartment 307. 3 rooms, fully furnished, downtown location. Rent, $450 a month. Emily stared at the screen. There had to be a mistake. Apartments half this size rented for 3 times that amount. Still, she called. The landlord answered immediately. "Are you still interested?" the old man asked. "Yes. Can you come today?" His eagerness surprised her. "Sure." The building stood on a narrow street, squeezed between 2 modern apartment complexes. It looked forgotten. The bricks were stained black from decades of rain. Half the windows were covered by faded curtains. A rusty sign hung above the entrance. Morrison Apartments. The landlord introduced himself as Henry Morrison. He looked to be in his 70s. Thin, gray hair, tired eyes. As he led Emily upstairs, she noticed something strange. The 3rd floor was silent. Completely silent. No televisions, no music, no voices. Just the creaking of old wood beneath their feet. Apartment 307 stood at the very end of the hallway. Henry hesitated before unlocking the door. Emily noticed. "You okay?" she asked. The old man forced a smile. "Of course." He opened the door. The apartment was surprisingly beautiful. Hardwood floors, a cozy living room, a tiny kitchen, and a bedroom with a walk-in closet. Emily couldn't believe it. "I'll take it," she said. Henry looked relieved. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Absolutely," she replied. For a moment, he seemed about to say something. Instead, he handed her the keys. "Just one thing," he added. Emily smiled. "What's that?" she asked. The old man's expression darkened. "If you hear knocking at night..." He stopped. Emily laughed. "What?" Henry swallowed. "Ignore it." She chuckled. "That's oddly specific." But Henry wasn't smiling. "Promise me." Emily rolled her eyes. "Okay." He nodded. But as he left, she noticed his hands shaking. That evening, Emily unpacked. She hung photographs on the walls, set up her laptop, and ordered Chinese food. By midnight, the apartment finally felt like home. She fell asleep quickly. At exactly 3:07 a.m., knock. Emily opened her eyes. Knock. She sat up. Someone was at the door. Knock. 3 knocks. Slow. Heavy. She glanced at her phone. 3:07 a.m. Who visits at this hour? She climbed out of bed. The hallway light shone beneath the apartment door. Whoever it was hadn't left. Emily approached. The knocking stopped. She looked through the peephole. Nobody. She frowned. Maybe kids. She unlocked the door and opened it. The hallway was empty. Long. Silent. The yellow ceiling lights flickered softly. Someone stood perfectly still. A tall man. Dark coat. Face hidden in shadow. Emily blinked. The lights flickered. He was gone. She froze. A chill crawled up her spine. No. Someone must have walked downstairs. She shut the door, locked it, and told herself she was being ridiculous. The next morning, Emily met her neighbor, an elderly woman named Margaret. She lived directly across the hall. Margaret looked frightened the moment she saw Emily. You moved into 307? Emily smiled. Yesterday. Margaret's face went pale. Oh. Emily laughed. What's wrong with 307? Margaret looked around nervously, as if someone might overhear. You should leave. Emily blinked. What? Move. Emily laughed. I'm not rich enough for that. Margaret grabbed her wrist. Her fingers felt icy. Don't answer the knocking. Emily stared. You too? Margaret released her. A shadow crossed her face, especially at 307. Emily's smile faded. Why? The old woman shook her head, her eyes filled with tears. Because he thinks you're home. Before Emily could ask another question, Margaret slammed her door shut. Emily couldn't stop thinking about it. Who was he? Why were they acting so strangely? At 2:55 a.m., she forced herself to stay awake. She sat on the couch, TV on, lights bright, phone in hand. The minutes crawled. 3:04, 3:05, 3:06. Then, every light in the apartment dimmed. The air grew cold. So cold her breath became visible. Emily stood. The TV switched off. Silence. Then, knock. She jumped. It wasn't coming from the front door. Knock. The sound echoed again. From the bedroom. Emily's heart hammered. Knock. From inside the closet. She stared down the hallway. The closet door was closed. It moved. Just slightly. As if something inside had bumped it. Emily swallowed. Nope. She grabbed her coat, rushed outside, and spent the rest of the night in her car. The next day she confronted Henry Morrison. The old landlord looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. He knew why she was there. You heard it. Emily slammed the keys onto his desk. What is happening in apartment 307? Henry looked away. I warned you. Who is knocking? The old man stayed silent. Emily's voice shook. Tell me. Henry sighed, then quietly said, 31 years ago, a man died in that apartment. Emily laughed nervously. People die everywhere. Henry shook his head. He wasn't found for weeks. Emily felt uneasy. What happened? Henry swallowed hard. He locked himself inside the closet. And every night, neighbors heard him knocking. Emily stared, but nobody helped. The room became silent. Finally, Emily whispered, How did he die? Henry looked directly into her eyes and said, They never figured that out. That night, Emily promised herself she would leave. She packed boxes, called friends, looked for apartments online. Then she noticed something strange. The closet door was open. She was certain she'd closed it. Slowly, she walked closer. The inside was dark. Very dark. Far darker than it should have been. Emily reached for the light switch. Nothing. The bulb had burned out. Or so she thought. Then, she heard breathing. Not hers. Someone else's. Deep, slow, from inside the closet. Emily froze. The breathing stopped. For a moment, there was silence. Then two pale eyes opened in the darkness, staring directly at her, and a voice whispered, You came back. Emily couldn't move. The pale eyes floated in the darkness of the closet, unblinking, watching her. And that voice, soft and raspy, You came back. Her body finally reacted. She screamed and stumbled backward, crashing into the bedroom wall. The closet door slammed shut by itself. Bang! The sound echoed through the apartment. Emily stood frozen, her chest heaving. The room was silent. No footsteps, no breathing, nothing. With shaking hands, she grabbed her phone and dialed 911. 2 police officers arrived within minutes. Officer Daniel Brooks was young and impatient. His partner, Officer Linda Reyes, was older and calm. Emily explained everything: the knocking, The cold air, the eyes, the voice. Officer Brooks exchanged a glance with his partner. "You saw eyes in the closet?" Emily nodded. "I know how it sounds." Brooks sighed. "Let's take a look." He walked into the bedroom. Opened the closet. Nothing. Just coats, shoes, an old suitcase. Officer Reyes examined the back wall. "What's this?" She brushed away layers of dust. Behind the coats was a tiny wooden door. Emily frowned. "I've never seen that." The officers looked at each other. The door was barely 2 feet high, hidden, almost invisible. Officer Brooks crouched. The handle was rusted. He pulled. It wouldn't budge. He pulled harder. Crack! The lock broke. The tiny door creaked open. A foul smell poured out. Rotten. Wet. Like something forgotten underground. Officer Brooks covered his nose. What the hell? He shined his flashlight inside. The beam disappeared into darkness. Emily stared. Behind the closet, there was another room. A narrow hidden space running between the walls. Officer Reyes looked disturbed. This wasn't on the building plans. Brooks squeezed inside. Dust swirled in the flashlight beam. The hidden room stretched farther than expected. Old pipes, broken boards, spiderwebs. Then, Brooks stopped. His flashlight trembled. "Oh my God!" "What?" Reyes shouted. Brooks didn't answer. Emily's heart pounded. "What is it?" Slowly, Officer Brooks stepped backward. His face had turned white. He pointed the flashlight at the far wall. Scratched into the wood, over and over, were the same 3 words. Thousands of times. "Don't open it. Don't open it. Don't open it." Emily felt sick. The scratches covered every surface. Some were deep, as if carved with fingernails. Others looked fresh, very fresh. Officer Reyes swallowed. "Who wrote this?" Then Brooks pointed lower. Near the floor, there were handprints, dozens of them, dark brown, old, stained into the wood. Emily suddenly realized what they looked like. Blood. The officers sealed the hidden room. Officer Reyes promised to investigate, but Brooks seemed eager to leave. As they reached the front door, Emily stopped him. "What scared you in there?" Brooks looked uncomfortable. "Nothing. You're lying." The young officer hesitated. Finally, he whispered, "When I first shined my flashlight..." Emily waited. Brooks looked over his shoulder, as if afraid something was listening. "I thought I saw someone standing at the end of the passage." Emily's stomach dropped. But when I pointed the light directly at him, Brooks swallowed. He smiled. Emily refused to sleep. She stayed in the living room, every light on, TV blasting. She kept replaying the day in her mind. The hidden room, the bloody handprints, the words on the wall. "Don't open it." What did it mean? Open what? At 2:59 a.m., the TV suddenly lost signal. Static filled the screen. Emily frowned. Then she heard it. A soft scratching sound from inside the walls. She muted the TV. The scratching grew louder, moving, slowly, around her apartment. Behind the kitchen, then the hallway, then the bedroom wall. Emily stood. The scratching stopped. Silence. Then, knock. The closet. Knock. Emily backed away. Knock. This time, a voice came with it. Weak, crying, "Help me." Emily froze. The voice sounded familiar. Very familiar. Then her blood ran cold. It was her own voice. The thing behind the wall. Darkness swallowed the apartment. Emily couldn't see her own hands. The only sound was her ragged breathing. And somewhere in the bedroom, something was crawling. Scratch, scratch. The sound of fingernails dragging across hardwood floors. Getting closer. Emily backed toward the living room. Her shaking hands searched for her phone. Gone. She remembered she had left it on the bedroom dresser, right beside the closet, right beside that thing. Another scratching noise. Closer now. Emily felt tears welling in her eyes. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. Then she heard herself laugh. Not her own laugh. The creature's. A twisted version of her voice. Soft. Mocking. You left me alone for so long. Emily's heart nearly stopped. The voice came from directly behind her. She spun around. Nothing. But when lightning flashed outside the windows, she saw a silhouette standing in the kitchen. A woman. Long hair, head tilted unnaturally to one side. Smiling. The lights flashed again. The kitchen was empty. Emily screamed. She ran. The apartment door wouldn't open. She twisted the handle. Pulled. Pushed. Locked. Impossible. She unlocked it. Again and again. Nothing. The door felt fused shut. Behind her. Tap. Something touched the floor. Tap. A barefoot step. Emily squeezed her eyes shut. Tap. Closer. Her breathing became frantic. Tap. Right behind her. Emily slowly turned and saw herself standing 6 feet away. The creature wore Emily's face perfectly, but something was wrong. Its skin was pale gray, its eyes were entirely black, and its smile stretched impossibly wide. Too many teeth, sharp, crooked. It tilted its head, exactly the way Emily did when confused. Then it copied her terrified expression, like it was learning, studying. The creature spoke. When he trapped me, its voice changed. No longer Emily's. Now it belonged to an old man. Deep, broken. He promised I would never leave. Emily backed away. The creature moved closer. He fed me lies. Another step. Its bones cracked loudly. He fed me fear. Its neck twisted. Farther, farther, until its head hung upside down. And suddenly, it screamed. A horrible sound. A mixture of dozens of voices. Men, women, children, all crying at once. Emily covered her ears. Blood trickled from her nose. The apartment walls shook. Pictures crashed to the floor. And from inside the walls, something answered. More screams. Hundreds, all around her. The walls bulged outward, as if people were trapped inside. Hands pushed against the wallpaper. Dozens of them, trying to escape. Emily cried out. The hands clawed desperately, then disappeared. The walls returned to normal. The creature stopped screaming. Silence. Emily stared. What are you? The creature smiled. Its black eyes filled with tears, and for the first time, it looked sad. I don't remember. The next morning, Emily woke on the living room floor. Sunlight poured through the windows. Birds chirped outside. Everything looked normal. The bedroom closet was closed. The hidden door was gone. The walls looked untouched. Emily sat up slowly. Had she dreamed it? Then she noticed the scratches on her arms, long red marks, like fingernails, and written across the living room wall, in huge letters, was a message. Fresh, still dripping. He lied to you too. Emily backed away. Someone had drawn a picture. A crude sketch of a man. Thin, old, with sad eyes. Henry Morrison. Emily stared. Her stomach twisted. No, that didn't make sense. Henry had warned her. Hadn't he? Then why? At that moment, someone knocked. 3 times. Knock, knock, knock. Emily screamed. But then she heard a familiar voice. "Emily, open up." Officer Linda Reyes. Emily rushed to the door. This time it opened. Reyes stood outside, but something was wrong. The officer looked terrified. Her face was pale. She held an old file in trembling hands. "Emily, knock," and whispered, "About apartment 307. Emily's chest tightened and whispered, "I found records about apartment 307. Emily's chest tightened. And she said, "And?" Reyes opened the file. Inside were photographs, old, black and white, pictures of former tenants. Emily looked at the first one. A young woman, missing, 1968. Second photo, a man, dead, 1975. One case done, the apartment, in comic form. One case done, the apartment form. Third photo, a family of 3, disappeared, 1982. There were dozens, every tenant, every decade, all connected to apartment 307. Emily looked at the pages, then suddenly stopped. Because the final photo, was dated 1987, the year the man died. The picture showed him standing beside someone, a young Henry Morrison, smiling. Emily looked up. Officer Reyes nodded slowly. Her voice trembled. Henry didn't inherit this building. She swallowed hard. He built it. Emily stared. But that's impossible. Reyes shook her head. It gets worse. She pulled out another document, an old newspaper clipping. Emily read the headline and nearly fainted. Local man arrested after kidnapping 14 people. Name, Henry Morrison. Date, 1952. Emily looked up, unable to speak. Officer Reyes whispered, "The thing in your apartment. It may not be haunting Henry." She paused. Her eyes filled with fear. "I think Henry created it." Outside, at the end of the hallway, a tall old man stood silently, watching apartment 307, watching Emily.